Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
It is the Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. I'm CJ Baumgartner. That's Corey Tackman. It's a Monday, the 5th of May. Here we go. We know who the Wolves are playing in a playoff series. Is that the best thing for them? We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But first, Corey, what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little PRC and HOL conference standings here because, holy buckets, we're into May.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's dive into it. We're down to just a few weeks, right?
Yeah, just a few more weeks until we get things going. I want to say it's this week, next week, and it's kind of tough because Memorial Day is on, like, it's really early this year. It's on like the 26th. So like, I want to say, and I haven't looked at the calendar right away, I want to say it's like 2 more weeks of regular season softball action, and then we're into playoffs, and then baseball follows like the next week. So things are moving kind of full steam ahead. It's crazy.
Good.
So let's start off with a little Park Region Conference action. Looking into the Park Region Conference standings in softball, we get a tight race at the top. Monaga and Wadena Deer Creek, both 8-2 at the top of the PRC. Now, Monaga does have kind of the tiebreaker wins over Wadena Deer Creek but just straight record, those two are tied atop the Park Region Conference. Parker's Prairie is 7-3. They're just nipping on the heels of the Braves and the Wolverines as well in PRC softball. New York Mills 5-4, Sabika 5-5, Pillager 5-5, Ottertail Central 2-8, Bertha Hewitt Verndale 0-11. But overall, Corey, I mean, look at that 3-team race: Monaga, Wadena, Deer Creek, Parker's Prairie at the top. It's a pretty fun race here in the final couple weeks.
Yeah, go ahead and just no pressure or anything, but get after it and make it hard for everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Final conference games are on Friday, May 16th. So just a couple more weeks until we know who's going to be atop the PRC in softball. Looking at the Heart of Lakes Conference, again, the first year of the new look HOL league, and at the top right now is Holly with an 8-0 mark. Dilworth, Glendon, Felton 7-1. Park Rapids area 6-2. Breckenridge 6-4. Frazee 4-4. Staples Motley 2-5. Barnesville 2-6. Perham 1-7. Pelican Rapids 0-7. Holly cruising, but DGF not too far behind. And in the first year in the HOL, Park Rapids area keeping kind of their good softball reputation here, traveling from the mid-state right into the Heart of Lakes there. So there's your softball update in that one. Taking a look in the Park Region Conference baseball standings. And Corey, before I get into it, just tell me how big of a mess you think it is. Like, just in terms of how many teams are beating each other.
I'm going to say all the teams are beating all the teams.
Yeah, here we go. Okay, so by winning percentage, Parker's Prairie is technically in first place in the PRC. They are 5-2.
Okay.
A Pillager is 7-3, and they're in second place currently. Wadena Deer Creek is 5-3 in third. Sabika 4-4. Ottertail Central 4-4. New York Mills 4-5. Bertha Hewitt Verndale 3-5, and Monaga 2-8. It's all over the place.
Good. That's the most fun way to do it. Let's go.
And a lot of movement in the PRC, a lot of stuff going back and forth. And we got 3 more weeks to decide it all. The final conference games around May 23rd, that Friday, is when things kind of wrap up with PRC action. Let's take a look into the Heart of Lakes Conference and to see what the heck is going on there. Again, first year in the new look HOL, adding Staples Motley and Park Rapids area. Looking at Perham, they're at the top with 6-0. Dilworth, Glendon, Felton, they had a nice squad this year. They're 4-0. Frazee 6-2. Breckenridge and Holly are both 4-3. Staples Motley is 5-5. Park Rapids area 5-5. Barnesville 0-6. Pelican Rapids 0-10 in the HOL. Again, just kind of some movement really in the middle. It's all over the place, but at the top, you got Perham and DGF duking it out because why not? Perham, by the way, 9-0 overall. They have a QRF already of 84.2 on the season for the Yellow Jackets. And taking a look at Perham so far this season, again, their schedule courtesy of Minnesota Scores. They just got a sweep over Park Rapids area 10-0, 13-1. Got an 11-0 victory over Detroit Lakes in 5 innings. Swept Staples Motley in a doubleheader. They also swept Holly in a doubleheader. Beat Minnehaha Academy 12-1. Beat De La Salle 5-3. Looking at the runs allowed this season for Perham, they've given up 9 runs in 9 games.
That's decent.
That'll play.
If you're into that sort of thing, that's pretty good.
If you're into the whole being good at baseball thing, giving up 9 runs in 9 games will definitely help things out. All right. Best of luck to all these teams. By the way, we got Park Region Conference baseball tomorrow. Otter Tail Central at Wadena Deer Creek. 4:15 pregame, 4:30 first pitch. Kyle Gelsine on the call on the Superstation K106 105.9 FM. Streaming online at WadenaRadio.com or the Superstation K106 mobile app. We got some softball games coming up later in the week as well. You can find the full broadcast schedule online at WadenaRadio.com. Corey, before we talk a little Minnesota Timberwolves, we first need to talk about the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
Indeed, we do. It's the 5th of May. It's May 5th. It is Cinco de Mayo, and Pizza Ranch wants to help you celebrate by spicing up your Cinco de Mayo with a slice or 3 of the Texan taco pizza. Have I ever told you about the time I got an advertisement that I needed to record here at the radio station for Cinco de Mayo? And Cinco de Mayo was spelled in 2 words, SINCO, second word DAMIO.
No, but that's awesome.
So anyway, happy Cinco de Mayo to all those who celebrate.
You can't culturally appropriate that one. It's not even a real thing.
The Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade want to help you celebrate with the best taco pizza on the planet. And they're going to spell it correctly on top of it all. And then, hey, go have a little fun in the FunZone Arcade. You can win yourself an autographed mystery jersey in your sport of choosing. You could win, probably you can't win a Wade Boggs jersey because Zach Shaw won that one here right on the morning sports desk just a few weeks ago. But you could win one at the FunZone Arcade. The Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. Spelling Cinco de Mayo correctly and supporting the morning sports desk.
And serving up taco pizza correctly. Look at that thing. It's ginormous.
Do you want to guess? Who wrote Cinco de Mayo? Don't say his name. Do you think you know?
I think I got an idea, but I will, out of respect, we will leave it to the inside baseball talk. Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade, they do it right. Whether it's pizza, whether it's the arcade, whether it's Cinco de Mayo, they got you covered. All right, Corey, let's move on because on Cuatro de Mayo? We got Timberwolves basketball. They start a series with the Golden State Warriors. It's the series we want. So many storylines aplenty. Draymond Green versus Rudy Gobert. Those 2 dudes went at it 2 minutes into a game in November. Those 2 guys hate each other. They will fight each other. You have Jimmy Butler, we think, making his return to Minnesota. He hasn't played in a game in Target Center since November of 2021. It's been insane how much he's ducked to the Wolves. And in fact, the last time the Heat were playing at Target Center when Jimmy was on the roster, you could hear the whole arena chanting, "Where is Jimmy?"
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. And then you also, of course, have Anthony Edwards versus Steve Kerr. And not that it's like an amicable relationship, but the storyline, I don't think I used amicable, right? But it doesn't matter. I think overall, that when you look at the it's friendly because obviously Anthony Edwards was on Team USA, Steve Kerr was the coach, but everybody remembers the famous pre-draft interview with Anthony Edwards where Steve Kerr basically called him out and said, "Hey, I wouldn't draft you. You're not proven that you can do the things that we want." And Anthony Edwards has used that as motivation throughout his NBA career to prove, like, you know what? No, forget you. I'm better. I'm better than that. I'm going to be good. There's a whole bunch of things that go into this. And of course, it's just the Golden State Warriors. They're outside of Steph Curry, who's just awesome. But like with Draymond Green and with some of the things they do, it's an easy team to root against. Corey, just kind of what's your gut reaction on drawing the Warriors?
Well, I think it's always funny to me to hear you talk about Golden State. You do not like them for some reason, which surprises me because I generally feel like Golden State has played basketball the way you're supposed to play basketball.
It has, but they still, it's been interesting since, of course, the Kevin Durant signing and the whole, everybody, it's really easy to hate them for being overpowered in the same way people didn't, like people my age didn't like the Heat because it was like, oh, they're, too OP as they say now. That's mainly the reason. They've been league villains for a while. And yeah, Kevin Durant's been gone, but Draymond Green's just easy to hate. I don't know.
No, I mean, I agree with the Draymond Green stuff, but I've loved Golden State and I love Steph Curry. I have nothing bad really, like even Draymond, I get a lot of it. And he was exactly what that team needed. I really I just feel differently about you, dude, about Golden State. You seem to really dislike them and I don't really dislike them. That being said, it's going to be fun to hate Draymond Green now for the next week plus. Mm-hmm. And how do I feel about getting Golden State in this series? I feel like it was the better of possible matchups between Golden State or Houston, at least as far as the Timberwolves go. The storylines aren't as interesting. I do think it's going to be a race to the first tech between Draymond and Rudy, who that one's going to go to. But I think this is a very good matchup for the Timberwolves.
Yeah, exactly. And just kind of as we'll talk about kind of whether we would draw them or the Rockets here. And I think, there's an interesting way because the Rockets and the Warriors as teams the Wolves could have faced in the second round is very interesting, right? Because the Warriors have the star power. They have the championship pedigree. They have all of that stuff going for them. But like when you look underneath the surface, they, the defense isn't as strong. They're an older team. There's all that kind of stuff that adds to them. Whereas the Rockets are the exact opposite, where nobody really scares you when you watch the Rockets play. But then you realize that like they play suffocating defense and they do some of the stuff, like they are well coached and like they do all that stuff where it's like you on paper, you feel like you should be more scared or you feel like you should be like the Rockets. It felt like, you know what, that's a team where, like, oh yeah, we could take them because they're less star power driven, but they actually would have been a tough matchup considering that both teams would have scored 88 points a game, I think, in a 7-game series between the Wolves and the Rockets. Whereas it's a much better pull, I think, like you said, that they get the Warriors and not the Rockets. One, because of home court advantage. Two, because I just think the Wolves they're just more talented than the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, how much do we want to go into this? Because I think
much as you want. Okay,
good. I think, we obviously know now it's not Houston. So it kind of takes some of this conversation off the board. Houston is deeper and more athletic and defends better. Like that's going to be a really important thing against and they're bigger, right? They've got Steven Adams and they've got Şengün. Like they've got some bigs. They just match up on more of like a 1-to-1 apples to apples comparison with the Timberwolves, but they have, outside of like Fred VanVleet, who can get an important shot in a moment, and what's his face, Green, like they've got athletes, but offensively they're not an intimidating team even a little bit. And I think Golden State's kind of the opposite. They're not as deep. They don't match up kind of on a 1-to-1, but they've got Steph, who's a first ballot, like top tier kind of guy. They've got Draymond, who is one of the best defenders of his generation. Mm-hmm. He doesn't necessarily have the hardware, but he's been a guy who for 10 plus years has been able to guard 5 different positions on the floor. They're awesome, but it's just a better matchup. It's just a across the board, like point guard to point guard, shooting guard to shooting guard, small forward to small forward. I just like, then you get into the bench. I just like the Timberwolves matchup, and I think it's going to be very hard for the Warriors to do some stuff. I would have also thought that though against Houston. I thought Houston would have guarded Golden State really. It would have been really hard for Steph. And maybe it was, but they kicked the hell out of Houston in Game 7.
Mm-hmm. But how much do you think the rest plays a factor in this, right? Because the Wolves, they finished the Lakers in 5. They were off since Wednesday. They had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and now Monday to rest. And not only that they have 5 days of rest before their next game, it's also the fact that now, because the Wolves are the high seed, they have home court advantage throughout this series. So they just get to stay in Minneapolis. Meanwhile, Golden State was up 3-1 like the Wolves were. They then proceeded to lose the next 2. So they had to go from Houston to Golden State, back to Houston. And then now they have to basically get on a plane and go right back to Minneapolis. Like, how much do you think rest is going to factor, especially considering the Warriors are with Jimmy, with Draymond, with Steph, older?
I think it's a huge part of it. Maybe not necessarily for game 1, because I think there's probably adrenaline and things like just in general. The rest becomes more difficult now in the semifinals. Obviously, the Timberwolves got a longer break. That's good. The thing that concerns me, CJ, is a thing we talked about in Series 1 with the Lakers and all season long, is the Timberwolves are now the home seed. They're the favorites. They're probably kind of everybody's darling right now.
Anthony Edwards for sure is.
They're like 2 people. Everybody picked the Lakers to beat the Timberwolves. Nobody picked the Wolves. Most people are going to pick the Wolves, in my estimation. And when they are heavy favorites, they care less.
There's just a little less chip on the shoulder.
Yeah, so there is a very real world opportunity here. The thing that makes me most nervous is that Steph Curry and Jimmy and Draymond and guys who have kind of been there, done that, are going to know how to come in and handle their business on the road, because they just had to handle their business on the road over a 7-game series. And the Wolves are just a little more lackadaisical in that realm of, well, they're a worse seed than us, so we don't have to take this as seriously.
Right. And the interesting part will be it's the Warriors. Anthony Edwards famously said a couple of years ago he wants to play Golden State in a playoff series because, quote, Draymond Green talks so much trash.
Yeah.
Like, Rudy Gobert and Draymond obviously have beef. The Jimmy Butler beef is more of a Wolves fan thing because, as was pointed out a million times, none of the Wolves are left that played with Jimmy. They're all gone. The head coach is gone. The entire coaching staff, the entire front office is gone. Like, the only people who were in that building when Jimmy was Glenn Taylor and maybe like the people who work on the social media team.
Is he the number 1 Minnesota sports enemy right now?
Right now, yeah. I would say so.
Like, kind of by far, right?
Yeah, there's not really anybody else. Like, there's nobody who
even Tibbs is like, whatever.
Right, he's gone. Even like somebody like Sean Payton he's in the AFC now. Like, you don't even have to worry about him anymore.
Yeah,
like,
I do hate Sean Payton though.
They hate Sean Payton a lot, but you only have to see him once every 4 years. So it's a little whatever. We'll hate you when that comes up. There's not like this amicable, because the Saints were in the same conference and it impacted your playoff spots sometimes. Right. Like, there's just a little less of that. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jimmy has to be the most hated by far. There's not really anybody else that Wolves fans probably hate more than Jimmy Butler because of the fact that he left and spit on the face of, there's the graphic of, you need me, you won't ever win without me, which will be played a million times if the Wolves can win this series.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how they handle that and how they handle all this. It feels like, I mean, you even go back to the last playoffs last year. Like every experience for the Wolves is a new experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt very confident in the Timberwolves Lakers series in my just analysis of the basketball teams, but you just don't know because they had never really had that experience before. And I feel really confident about this Wolves Warriors series in favor of the Wolves. I just think it's a favorable matchup again, but you just never know how they're going to react to an he's going to be a Hall of Fame coach, Steve Kerr, and he's one of the he's the best shooter ever in Steph Curry, and Jimmy and Draymond are going straight into the Hall of Fame when they're done. Like, this is just a new thing that they haven't had to go through yet, that I'm excited to see how they handle it. And I don't know how they're going to handle it. And any way they handle it will probably not be a surprise.
The good news is that
if they win in 5 or lose in 5, I would, just because they are immature, that's not out of the question.
the spectrum of outcomes on the Wolves are anywhere, because remember last year in the first round, they were kind of underdogs in a 6-3 seed. They swept the Suns, and then they went on to face the defending champion Nuggets, and they weren't favored in that series either. And they come away and win. And then they were favored in the Western Conference Finals and got steamrolled by a Mavericks team that was on a heater. But it was certain things about the matchups, right? Like nobody really, and maybe I have revisionist history here, but nobody really thought about like, yeah, the Luka lobs to Lively or what's going to kill the Wolves. And it's what killed the Wolves in some of those games. And when you look at some of the, like, there are things in the Lakers series, obviously, everybody talked about the star power of LeBron and Luka. And we mentioned like, hey, the size could be an issue, but I don't think we realized it was going to be that heavy favorite. And that's one of the biggest reasons why the Wolves were able to take care of that series. No problem. And, everybody talked about Rudy Gobert versus Luka and things like that. But overall, there's things in the series that sometimes, even though like us who kind of try and pay attention, the league experts it's their job to pay attention to some of this, like you just don't really know how a series is going to play out until it actually starts. So that'll be the biggest thing. We'll talk about game 1 tomorrow, but that's pretty much it. I think we're both in agreement. We'd rather play Golden State than Houston.
Yes.
Be careful what you wish for. But here they are. You might as well.
I would have been fine. I mean, this wasn't like, I hope they play Golden State because I want nothing to do with Houston.
Right.
That is not the situation at all. That was just like, do you want a Snickers bar or a Milky Way? Like, I like them both. I like them both.
But I can have the Snickers bar in my house, and the Wolves have home court advantage. So.
Right, exactly.
So that's the way. By the way, the Wolves are doing the white T-shirt stuff. Like they have T-shirts on the seats.
Yep.
Wear the shirts.
Oh,
really
yeah.
annoying when people don't wear them.
They will. They shame people. I've been in the building when they do the whiteout in the pregame stuff, and they go back to people like, we're not taking the camera off you until you put that shirt on. And the camera stays on them until they put that shirt on. And there are some people, there was one girl in particular who was very proud of the way she looked, sitting way down close to the gym floor.
Mm-hmm.
They put the camera on her, said, put that shirt on, and we're not taking. And then she finally did. And they went to 2 more people, and they went back to her because she had taken the shirt off. And I mean, this was in the house. The Timberwolves franchise was shaming their own fans. Put it on.
As you should. You got a free T-shirt. Put it on.
Put it on. Put it on. And then every time they had somebody in the building who wasn't a Timberwolves fan, I mean, the boos were chef's kiss wonderful.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. All right. Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. We'll see you tomorrow.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.